Hi, good morning or early noon to those of you who are joining us today for the Canvas 101 training. And I see we've got participants that are still entering, so I'll just give us maybe another minute or two as you get settled and we will begin. Excited to have everybody join us on their lunch hour or lunch 30 minutes, lunch 20 minutes, 15-minute break. And we are also recording this webinar as well. So if you can't catch the whole webinar, you can go back and I'll show you where you can access the link to the video later on or share with any other families, PK families. Okay, probably just one more minute and we'll get started. Thank you guys for your patience. Okay. All right. So, welcome those of you who are joining us today for Lunch and Learn. We are going to be covering the basics of Canvas so that you can better understand how you can support your student on this learning platform. Oops, hold on. All right, so I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I am Macy Geiger. I am the middle school learning community leader at PK Yonge, and Dr. Ashley Hill, who's the Director of Student and Family Services, and Christy Gabbard, who is the Director of Program Development, have also played a part in the planning for this webinar and might be able to answer any follow-up questions that occur later on. But then we also have live with us our technology integration specialist.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabe Lee. I am the Technology Integration Specialist here at PK. And if you have any questions or run into any trouble with Canvas, please feel free to email me. My email is glee@pky.ufl.edu. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Gabe. Appreciate it. And most of our emails that will have the pky.ufl.edu, and it's just our first initial and last name. So same with my email. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Just a reminder now, there is a Q&A box. So as we're covering the topics, if you have a specific question, feel free to type it into the Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and get us started with the topics we're going to cover in this webinar. So today you will learn how to create a Canvas Parent Observer account, how to set up notifications for that account. Also, we'll go over just the basics of navigating Canvas and where to go when you're trying to look for specific material that your student is learning. And then, of course, the big one, checking on your student's progress, how to access grades and assignments. So at the end of each of these 4 sections, we're going to pause and just have a chance for anybody who's had any questions that they've been in the Q&A, a chance for Gabe to come back and to share any answers with the group. And then we'll just continue on along until we get to the final topic. It's almost like we're saving the best for last. I'm sure that's the one everybody's excited about. All right, so I can definitely feel your pain in these times. I know with the whole layer of a COVID-19 pandemic and then starting school again in a completely different situation that we've ever done school before. First in my 15 years experience as well, but then also this whole aspect of online learning. And there can be frustration when you think there's so many wonderful pieces of technology, but it can be confusing. Where to go? How do I access information? And so hopefully this webinar will clear up a lot of that for you. And also because what I've been hearing from families and wondering is like, how can I support my student? How can I ensure that they're caught up with their assignments? And how can I check their progress in school and get up-to-date information? Those were some of the guiding questions that I considered when designing this particular webinar. So I always like to say, for any information related to your student or PK, first stop can always be our PK Yonge website. It has access to everything that you need to know, including logging on to Canvas. Oopsies, something fell in the back. All right, so our first topic is creating a parent Canvas account. So just like I'd said before, you would start at the PK Yonge website, okay? Then, since Canvas is related to academics, right? You see there's these little tabs here. You're gonna go to that academic tab and then click on Canvas. And then that will take you to a page where you're going to see a student login, although students sometimes will use the login that's up at the top right corner. What you want though is the family login, okay? Now, there are step-by-step instructions in a Google Doc that's right here, this link that's right above the family login. I went ahead and preloaded it just in case we had internet issues. So this is the link, and it literally takes you through with screenshots, step-by-step, on how to create your parent Canvas account. Now, I will say the one important thing for you to know is, and I'm just gonna go like I'm gonna be signing on, right? So when you are ready to create your parent Canvas account, you're gonna click on that login, okay? This would be the page I would recommend for you to bookmark so that you can easily access it whenever you're just wanting to log in to access your students' information. Right now you don't have an account, but if you would like to create an account, you would just click on that top right corner, okay? And then of course you would put your personal information. I would recommend using an email that you actively use and check, because that's where your notifications will go, but we'll get to that next step. And I can share with you how you can differentiate different contact information and notifications. You will create a password. And then this is the part that is a little tricky. In order to connect your parent account to your students, right, and not to some other Bobby Joe or Peggy Sue, right, you need to get their pairing code. So what you'll need to do is when you're home with your student, or when your student has their Chromebook handy, okay, I'm gonna go back to these instructions, all right, they're gonna go into their Canvas account and they're gonna go up to the top account button. Okay, when they click on that account button, they're going to go to settings, and in the settings, there's a little option that says pair with observer. They're going to click on that, and this little pop-up box is going to show an observer code. You want to make sure that you type the same exact things in. It's case sensitive. All right, you're going to type that pairing code in right here. Sorry, these are other pairing codes. You don't want to use those, right? And then when you click start participating, it will go ahead and have you set up with your account, all right? And there are also, you can also set up, there is a parent Canvas app that you can access on the phone, but I would say the desktop version is going to be your most detailed and comprehensive, okay? The other thing is you might already have a parent account, or maybe let's say you set up a parent account, but you don't have just one student, you have 2 or more students at PK. Well, so once you have your account set up and you can log in, if you want to add another student to your account, okay, you're gonna go up to your top account button when you log in. You're gonna go to settings. Oh, yep, sorry. And I think it's observing. Okay, so right now it says these are the two students that I am observing, students that are linked to me as a parent. If you want to add a student, right, you would put that other student's pairing code found in the same place, right? In there, you'd click the plus sign to add the student, and then you would have access not only to your one student, but any of the other ones that you've added into your account. So that is just the raw basics of setting up a parent Canvas account, and also how you can add another student onto your parent Canvas account. So right now we're going to pause, and I just want to see, are there any questions that you have specifically about creating a parent Canvas account?
So there's a question about pairing a student that is at PK versus pairing a student that's in the county. So those are two separate instances of Canvas. And so you cannot join them together from your parent account. And from what I've heard, I'm not even sure if the county has observer account set up. I know that one parent I was trying to help with that was not able to get it set up. So you'd have to contact the county for that.
Right. And if you can see here, this is the PK Yonge Canvas infrastructure. So I'm even a student at UF. That's a separate Canvas infrastructure. So they are different. If you've got students at different schools, you would have to create separate parent accounts. All right, well, thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is setting up notifications. So this is something I would recommend you doing right away as soon as you set up your Canvas account. Gabe, did you want to add something here?
Yeah, so we have one more Q&A. It says, can the students be contacted via the parent account? And so the answer is yes. You parents can contact teachers through Canvas directly.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so for setting up notifications, this is going to make your life a lot easier. I know, for example, I'm a single parent myself, trying to keep up with work, what's happening with my student, and then of course you add layers of pandemic or whatever is going on, just trying to get dinner on the table. It's really hard to remember to physically go into, Canvas or wherever to check and see how your student is doing. So that's where I say, let Canvas do the work for you, right? So the notifications can come straight to your email, or you can also set up a text. That way it's taking the work out of you having to go to Canvas. Canvas will give that information for you. So what notifications should you set up? Well, it's kind of like the golden corral of notifications. Again, when you're in your parent Canvas account, you're going to go up to the top account button. And I would recommend the first thing you want to do is go to settings, because in settings, it's going to show what contact methods it has. So as you can see right here, ways to contact, it has two email addresses for me. There's one that I actually signed up the account with, but then I actually added another email address. If you would like to add an additional email address, all you have to do is click that plus sign, you put the email in. You will get a confirmation email, so you need to click that you confirm in order for it to actually finish the process. Same thing, oops, there's a little. You can also set up via text messages if you are more of a phone and text person. Same thing, you'd set up your number, whatever phone carrier you have, and then it will auto-populate like an SMS email. You will also get a confirmation code that you will need to type in order to finish the process with that. So once you have set up the emails or the phone numbers that you want to have contact you, the next step you're going to go to is in accounts. You're going to notice at the very top is notifications, right? So you're going to click on that. And it's going to look a little overwhelming at first, but once you know like what all these buttons mean, I promise you it's not going to be as scary. The nice thing is you have a broad range of how you would like to be contacted. It has everything from notify me right away. My son loved that because I would get notifications as we were driving home from school that his Spanish quiz was just graded. Of course, I waited till a red light, but so it will literally notify you right away. Or you can choose to have it just send you a daily email summary of anything, right? A weekly summary, or you're like, I don't need any information about that. The ones that I would recommend that you need to set up notification wise, a lot of people, they like due date. I don't want you to feel inundated though with emails, so maybe I would recommend like a daily or maybe a weekly for due date. What's really important, announcements. Okay, so teachers do send announcements and emails to their students and also to families via Canvas. I would say you want to check this as notify me right away, this check mark, and also grading. Um, so you can see, since I just set up my other email address, right now everything is marked as no notifications. So like that might be something that I personalize later, right? If I ever want to delete an email address or phone number, I can just go back into the settings part and delete it. The other thing I would recommend, there are some classes where students are required to engage in discussions with discussion posts. One thing once we get into navigating Canvas and looking into the courses, that might be something so that you can follow along with what your student is discussing and making sure that they're up to date. You might want to have this, I wouldn't say that you need to know this right away, but maybe a daily summary. And I would say the rest of it is pretty much not something that you need to worry about so much. So my recommendations, grading, notify right away, announcements right away, and then looking at due dates, okay? And let me see, I think that was all I wanted to share with you guys. Let me just check my notes before we go to our questions. So again, it's just a little bit of legwork up front for you, but it's going to end up doing the work for you as far as notifying you about your students' progress, where you're not having to physically remember to go in every time and navigate and check. So with that said, what questions do you have about setting up notifications? Think, are we looking good?
There's one question about what notification about course content, or what does notifications about course content provide to a parent. I think what it'll do is if there's any changes within the course content, that's what those notifications are for.
Right, like it might be that they're adding like, so something in the future, a new module. Most teachers, I think, have everything already set up, but it might be, correct me if I'm wrong, Gabe, but when they publish it and access to students. So yeah, you could set that. I wouldn't say as notify right away, but that might be like a weekly summary, maybe daily. Um, the key is, I mean, because sometimes you know how we get inundated with emails. Like, I don't want you feeling overwhelmed and you're getting all these emails left and right, and it's almost like, which ones do I want look at, which ones do I not? That's why I really emphasize the notify right away with the grades and announcements, and then everything else could maybe be like a daily update or a weekly update. Anything else?
Uh, so there's one other question. It says, looks like clicking at the box at the top where it says show name of observed student would be helpful for parents with multiple students.
Oh, yes, right. So right here, show name of observed students and notifications. Yes, so you know whose Spanish quiz that is or whose science assignment, right? Yep, thank you. I think that's a box that just automatically is checked, but yes, so I would not uncheck that box. All right, so we're gonna move right on along. Okay, so getting into the meat and potatoes here. Canvas navigation basics. So as a parent observer, when you log in, you're going to be taken to the dashboard view, which looks like this. For each course, you're going to see like a square or a widget. Okay. Now, not all of these squares or widgets are actually courses that your student is taking like for a grade. There are courses, for example, when I'm looking in my students, in middle school and in high school, there is a counseling page. It has access to important information related to school counseling, and then also ways to contact the counselors. Obviously, that's not something for a grade. It's just there for students. My student is in 8th grade at this time, and as 8th grade, they're going to be working on what is called a Wonder Project, and this is a place where they can all come together in that particular shell. Let me see. And then, of course, advisory. Now, advisory is a 30-minute, 30-minute block on Wednesdays, and depending upon whether your student is on campus or off campus, they do have an advisory teacher in a group. Again, that's not something for a grade, but there is a course shell there because, again, it's just a common place where all students in that course can come together and they can communicate, or the teacher can communicate with them. But I want us to focus more so on the actual classes themselves. Right? So, for instance, if I want to find out more information about what my student is doing in science, right, I click on the science link here. Okay. Now, it will always take you to the home page. All right. The home page has a lot of really helpful information on it. I know for many of you parents, you probably have no idea what your student's teacher looks like. So there's a picture. Yay, you can see what they look like. There's even a welcome video. It has the teacher's Zoom link for easy access when the students are joining for the live Zoom sessions. It also mentions the days of the week that the teacher is doing the live Zoom lessons with them. That's also helpful. I know one of the things, especially for some students who struggle more so with the executive functioning, we've found like working with families and just kind of making a schedule. And so like looking at which days do you Zoom with your teachers during those periods, so they have a little bit of a better layout of what to expect each day. There's also other sort of general information about the class, right? The one important thing, if you're wanting to actually go into the course content, okay, you can click on modules. Okay, and you're going to notice that modules, it's set up and it gives you more specific information about the assignments and the tasks, right? Now, I know from having worked with Miss Shepard before for science, she actually has the students, if we go back to home, because they're in Unit 1 right now. If you scroll down to the bottom here and you click on the Unit 1 button, it goes over all of the essential elements for that unit, and each week the tasks are updated. So we're in week 5, right? Monday, September 21st, that was an asynchronous day. This is what the students had to do, right? There are links to the assignments right there, right? Tuesday, synchronous, this is what we need to do, right? Everything right there at your fingertips. If you want to go and hop over to another course, you don't need to go back to the dashboard. You can actually just click on this little courses button, and then it just gives you all of the course options. So let's say if I want to go to digital design and multimedia. So I click on that. Again, homepage has the teacher information, their Zoom link, right? This particular teacher, they're just showing what they're working on right now. So it's just the Unit 1. Okay. And it takes them straight into the modules again. I want to just scroll up really quick so you can see we're in modules. Okay. Right here, modules. Okay, so you can go, we're in week 5, right? So these are all of the assignments for week 5. Okay, so you can go to the first page, which is an overview. Now, the reason why I recommend going into the modules with your student and taking a look, of course, I might have, oh, here we go, is that it gives you a lot more comprehensive information than I think when I've been meeting with some students, what they've been doing instead. I'm just going to go back to the dashboard to show you. What they're doing is they're maybe just looking at these coming up or to-dos, right? That's great if they want to see what's coming up. Personally, me, I always forget. I don't really pay attention to that side, although it's there as a resource if you're kind of wanting to check off as you go along. What's more important is really getting into, because of the fact all of the learning is happening online, it's going straight into the course modules and seeing what the teacher directions are very explicitly, as opposed to just hopping onto an assignment, right? And it has the steps. Again, if I go into another course, pre-algebra, right, homepage, in this particular instance, right, I would say always start at the home page. Look and see, what is the teacher saying? Right here, this particular teacher, Dr. Weller, she's every single day. It's a link that's updated for whatever the day's date is. Start here. It's Wednesday, right? Boom. What are we doing on Wednesday? Well, it's not a live Zoom day. If this is your class period, this is some specific information. These are activities, extra resources, everything right there. Okay. So let me see, Zoom link, modules, a day. Let me see, I wanted to go into another one, I think history and career planning, just to show an example, right? So we see again the home page. The other thing that's also very helpful, I'm sure you're noticing some themes across the pages. If your student ever has tech issues, Chromebook issues, internet access issues, microphones not working, whatever, they can fill out a help ticket through tech support. The link is right here. It's on every single Canvas course shell page. If they want to send out a counseling request, they can do a private request. Again, the link is right there. There's also a quick link to modules. You can either click there or you can click right up here, right? If you want to see the course syllabus. So it's kind of like frequent links. There's also a calendar. I haven't really shown you guys that yet, but that is just a way of looking at maybe upcoming assignments or what's to do. Like right now, it's going to look a little overwhelming because if you see here on the side, we are viewing every single class, right? But again, this is just another feature. I would recommend just staying within the actual course and going course by course. If you're going to be sitting with your student and saying, like, tell me, let's talk about what are you doing in history, right? You can go to modules, okay? And again, a lot of teachers, what they do is they have it set up in modules and they actually even give you the specific date. So it's very explicit and clear, right? We're on Wednesday, right? So Wednesday, September 23rd, this is a day you're on your own, right? This is what you need to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3, right? So that's, I would say, the basic rundown of your Canvas navigation. Again, the dashboard just gives you a layout of all the courses. There is also email, okay? Students do get email. It's a great way to communicate back and forth with teachers, and it's especially helpful if a student is feeling a little bit more self-conscious or shy in raising their hand and asking for help. Of course, there's private chats in the Zoom, but really, you know, this online platform opens up doors for them to be able to email the teacher and just ask them a question in Canvas. As you can see, I can look through and see what my student was getting a message about or announcement. These usually will also come to your email that is linked to Canvas. So you can either view it within Canvas or outside. But if you view it outside of Canvas, it's still going to show you that it's a new message in Canvas. That's a little annoying. You just have to kind of go back through and just mark that you've read them, so it won't look like you have any new emails. All right, so I'm going to pause right there and see what questions you have about navigating Canvas.
Macy, it looks like we don't have any questions. You can move on.
Okay, so this is probably like drum roll, please. All right, checking your students' progress. How do we do that? Okay, well, first of all, I do want to share, because I know many of you might be new families to PK, and we have a completely different grading system. It is not like what I was used to growing up with a 100-point scale and percentage points, and you get, a grade for participation or, attendance. It is standards-based or mastery-based grading. Now, before I continue, I do want to share with you that there is a location on our school website where you can find more detailed information about grading. So for example, I'm just going to go back here. If you click on the academics link, and then you see grading at PK Yonge, right? Because students' grades will eventually get translated into what we know as a traditional letter grade, like A's and B's or C's, but we use a 4-point scale, because those 4 points are indicators of benchmarks of progress in meeting the benchmarks or the standards, right? So let's say if the standard was being able to multiply and divide 2-digit numbers, okay? So I could be meeting mastery, I'm exceeding expectations, right? And so my point scale might be around here. I could just be, I'm meeting the benchmark, right? And meeting is this scale. I could be approaching where I almost have it, but I still need teacher support, or I could be making just some mistakes here and there and not consistent, right? That's the scale for that one. Or I'm beginning, meaning that it's still something that I'm not really able to do on my own, and there's much more errors that are taking place, okay? Anything less than that is considered not meeting, okay? So I would definitely say this might be a really great visual to bookmark, but there's also some information about that in Canvas as well. So when you get to grades, if you just want to see an overview of all of your students' grades instead of having to go into each individual class, at the dashboard, if you look over here on the bottom right corner, there's a link to view grades. Beginning of modules, they'll have something that might be called important class information or class overview. When you click on that, it's going to give you more specific details according to the grading procedures and the content that will be graded for that course. So in this digital design and multimedia course, this is talking about the expectations for the synchronous learning, for the asynchronous learning. It also does have the same grading scale as I just showed you on the PK Yonge website. Okay, it also has some helpful links such as the syllabus. And then this one here, the PK Yonge grading overview. I would say this gives you more detailed information. It will open up a slide deck, and of course, there we go, right? And then you can just click through the slides. There's a video, right? It has, so just some other sorts of resources, because I know it's tough coming from a world where you've lived in a 100-point percentage scale and moving to a mastery-based grading type of scale, it is a completely different type of mindset. But the bonus with that is because students have multiple opportunities to show that they're meeting the benchmarks, teachers at PK offer things such as retakes. So if they haven't achieved mastery and they want to go back and they want to review or study, and they can take that test again, or they can turn that assignment in again. With each teacher, they might have a different system around that, but that's I would say the heart of mastery-based grading is that it's not capturing what you knew at that moment in time. It's continuous. So let's get back into the grades though, right? You can also just access this grade link when you're in each class. Now, I know that we're getting to the end of the 9 weeks, and this is something that the teachers will be kind of going over individually with students, what all of these different symbols mean. As you can see right here, if you're looking at the top right corner, it gives you the student's overall average for the class, okay? And then right now, when we're looking at the assignments, they're in order of due date. So we have from the very beginning of school all the way to the end, all right? Now, some symbols are pretty obvious, like this was late, okay. If there's a check mark, it means that it was counted, but it's not something that's going towards like their overall grade. This is something you want to keep in mind though, because you'll have their actual score and then out of how many points. Some teachers might have something and it shows a 0, and I've seen some students and families like, oh my God, they have a 0, but it's like, well, but it's out of 0 points. So it was just something they just had to turn in. So no worries about that. If it's 0 out of 0, we're all good, right? Now, if it's 0 out of 4, maybe not so good, or 0 out of 8. The other icons that are really important here are this little clipboard. It shows a rubric, okay? So this rubric, it'll show you what they were being scored on. So for this particular identity web assignment, the rubric was on productivity, right? And so you can see where the benchmarks are here. If you just want to close that, you just click on the link again. Sometimes teachers will leave, you see this little speech bubble here, that shows the teacher left feedback or comments, right? So this is supposed to be a beam as well as a campaign poster, right? You can see who left the comment. In fact, the student could comment back to the teacher along with that too. Let me go into another course too, just so you can kind of see. Right, so we're going to go to grades. Okay, and here I remember, I think with the 0 out of 0, whenever you see the little exclamation mark part, that just means it's not counting towards their overall grade, right? And actually it says here, doesn't count towards overall grade, but sometimes that's not always included. Again, 4 out of 4, if they have comments, right? You can see the comments. And scrolling down, you can see what type of assessment it was. If it's formative, that means they're just gathering information and checking in with the student to determine their progress. When you see summative, and most classes might not have gotten to summative yet because you think of the word summative, the word sum up, summary. So that's at the very end, at the end of an investigation or the end of a unit or the end of a content block, right? They've learned this chunk of information. Formative is checking along the way. The summative is like, okay, now it's time for you to show us what you know, right? And that's usually the one that counts much more. You'll see that it counts more points than, the formative assessments. And again, this probably has been more formative lately, right? If there's a little line here, it means that the student hasn't turned it in yet. And I know the symbols are sometimes a little overwhelming. I was slightly new to Canvas in this aspect because we really started using Canvas with students last year. So really what I would say is kind of go on an exploration in the grade book. I mean, literally, for lack of a better word, what does this button do? Oh, looky here. Oh, okay. Oh, so you were scored on habits of work. So your timeliness of work completion and quality of work. Okay, right? All of this information is basically, it's there to help you engage in a conversation with your student. The more information I feel that you have at your fingertips, the more engaging and specific type of conversation that you can have with your student. So with that said, I'm gonna pause here. And I know we're kind of getting towards the end of our time. So what questions, do we have about like checking your students' progress and grades in Canvas?
So Macy, it looks like there are no questions as of right now.
As of right now. Okay, well, it's fine. If you have questions, I'm sure it might pop up in your head like a minute later, and that's totally fine. Because actually, I have some questions for you. Of course, I'm so glad that you were able to attend, and hopefully you found this information helpful. We are planning to do another Canvas webinar, and actually I'm going to be focusing the content based on what your feedback is right now, and also feedback maybe a little later on, conversations with students, teachers, and you, the caregivers. So I just wanted to point out, when you go to the PK Yonge webpage, there's a families tab. And if you click on the student and family services link on the families tab, it'll take you to the student family services page. And then there's a webinars link. In that webinars link, you'll see recordings for other webinars. And then also, I have a feedback survey that I would love to get your input, where I'd love to get your input. The feedback survey you can access there, right? So it's right there in that Google Doc. Or if you're one of those people who can scan your phone, and if you want to take this QR code, it'll take you right to the survey. Or I have like a tiny URL. If you just type in the top address bar of your browser, tiny.cc/canvas101, it will take you to a survey, right, that will give us your feedback to help better inform what topics we can discuss in the future and other ways to assist you as you're supporting your student, whether at home or on campus. So with that said, I think that pretty much closes us out. Gabe, were there any other further questions?
I entered it by typing. So as of right now, we are all set.
Super. So I thank you all for coming. I wish I could see your faces, and thank you more so in person. I'm hoping that will come again shortly, but I really appreciate your attendance and look forward to getting your feedback, and we'll see you in a few more weeks for the next webinar.
Macy, hold on. We have one more question, and it's
Oh,
about
okay.
printing from the Chromebook. And unfortunately, the Chromebooks are not set up to print. They unfortunately cannot print. So printing is not possible with the Chromebooks.
Right. But if you're wondering, like printing, I guess if it's a Google Doc or whatnot, if it's something, I guess if you're accessing it in Canvas and through your computer, you can print it from your own computer. It's just not something that we allow the students to do from their Chromebooks. But if you think anything that's cloud-based, that you can access from a browser, you can access it from your browser on your own computer and print that at home or someplace else if needed. All right.
Bye, everyone. Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you. Take care.